Hey, what's up guys? It's Marf and welcome back to another episode of Mobile Classics. Now, it's been a while since I've done a video with Mobile Classics and I wanted to do something different because I realized that for the majority, or in fact all of the other episodes I've done in this series, they have all been about racing games of some sort. And mobile gaming is not just racing games, and so I wanted to do something that I think a lot of other people would know, and that is Modern Combat 4 Zero Hour. Of course, this is definitely not a racing game, it is pretty far from it, but Modern Combat 4 is probably the best first-person shooter with modern military like sort of setting in regards to that. In terms of on mobile, it is probably the best out there, and it basically set the benchmark for what mobile first-person shooters should be. It set the benchmark for things like controls, for graphics, audio, gameplay, weapons, and all that sort of stuff. Of course, I know that Modern Combat 3 was very similar to Modern Combat 4, and in fact, some people like Modern Combat 3 over Modern Combat 4. However, I think for a lot of people, their sort of journey with mobile first-person shooters started with Modern Combat 4, and in fact, that's where I started, and so I don't really have the knowledge and the in-depth sort of experience with Modern Combat 3 like I do with Modern Combat 4. Now, granted, when I played, and I'm just going to call it MC4 from now, when I played MC4, it was like my first FPS on mobile, so I was really bad, and I still am quite bad because the device that I'm playing on is the tiny 5-inch screen on an iPhone 5s, so I apologize that the gameplay is not very good, but yeah, having a really small screen is well, it hinders my gameplay a lot, so I apologize for that. But anyway, I want to talk about what made this game so darn good and what really kept the sort of community alive in this game, because this game really started to make Modern Combat 4 a bigger community, and it really catapulted, in my opinion, mobile gaming into a certain spotlight of like, oh hey, these mobile games can actually be really darn cool. Of course, it totally looked like a Call of Duty ripoff, but I think people were really impressed with how good this game was in terms of delivering that AAA experience on mobile, and so that's why I wanted to talk about this game, because not only was it so darn good just in general. I mean, I could talk about the graphics of this game forever. I mean, this game released in 2012, and in 2020 it still looks really darn good. Now, I understand that a lot of new games coming out are targeted at the mid-range and the lower range in terms of hardware and phones like that, so the graphics aren't really being pushed like they used to, but still, I think it's aged very well. It still looks really good, and I think it's like better looking than Call of Duty Mobile because it's stylized better and it's more focused. It doesn't like borrow things from another game like Call of Duty does, so everything that was developed for this game was developed specifically to run on mobile devices, and I think they did a really good job for a couple of reasons. Now, of course, like I mentioned, graphics, it's a huge thing. I mean, the lighting in this game is really darn good. The textures look really good. The shaders and the shadows look amazing for, the 2012. Now, player models are, well, we could talk about them for a bit. I mean, if you're talking about like faces and all that sort of stuff, then obviously it looks a bit dated, but I think GameLoft does a really good job at understanding that, portraying human faces and skin is really hard, so they put masks on people and they cover people in suits, and that really helps to immerse the player, so you don't look at these like weird faces, and obviously I think that helps a lot in terms of making this game look better. And that's one of the great things about this game is obviously the graphics, but I really want to talk about the feel of this game because that's where I think this game really excelled in. It's really hard to portray this and talk about it without having you played this game, so if you haven't played the game, I really highly recommend it. Unfortunately, on iOS, you can only play it on older devices, but I think on Android, I don't know if it's available in the Google Play Store, but if you can get an APK, I think you can just run it anywhere, which is awesome, so I definitely recommend it. The feel of this game is really I think what makes this game so good, because everything feels heavy. You really feel it, and I know that's a really bad term to use because it's so vague, but combining the audio of the weapons, which feel meaty, they feel punchy, they feel like they're actually hitting walls with the bullet effects and like the audio of it hitting walls and stuff, it really feels alive and like right in your face, at least when you're wearing headphones. and just the weight of the animations, like everything is kind of slow, but it's not clunky. It really emphasizes all of the motions of the character when you're reloading a gun, and so it makes it stand out in terms of you really feel like you're holding an actual big old assault rifle when you're running into the battlefield. And the animation, because it's kind of slow in terms of running, it feels like you have some weight on you and you're actually running with like 50 pounds of gear on you. And so I think that is what a lot of games nowadays are lacking. Like, you feel super light and agile, and while that can be a good thing sometimes, I feel like in terms of immersion, Modern Combat 4 does it so much better than any other mobile game because of that weightiness, that meatiness that the animations and the audio and the graphics sort of give this game. And I think, like I said, that is the best part about this game, is just that it feels so darn good to play because everything has a punch to it, everything has this weight to it. And again, I know it's hard to portray in terms of words, and it's really something that you have to play the game to feel and understand. But like I said, I think that's what makes this game so much better than any other first-person shooter on mobile, because you feel it so much better than any other game out there. Now, of course, we could talk about gameplay. A lot of people regard this as some of the best, first-person shooter gameplay out there. But in terms of multiplayer, obviously, I think it did date itself a bit because the balance wasn't exactly that great. A lot of people were just running around with compact 6.65 and just destroying people. And of course, you didn't have a lot of option in terms of kill streaks, but the customization of the weapons was really quite good. And when you went into that menu and you saw how detailed each gun was, I think it really blew people's mind that these guns could have so much detail on a mobile phone, especially for 2012. And that's one thing I want to emphasize, is that this game came out in 2012. It looks like it would have come out in like the past couple of years, right? But this came out almost 8 years ago, which is crazy to think about. And this game, in terms of graphics and audio, like I said, it just holds up so darn well. So yeah, that is why I wanted to talk about this game in terms of mobile classics. I think, like I said, if someone is making a first-person shooter, this is a great way, or at least on mobile, this is a great place to start in terms of baseline things like how a gun should feel in your hands, and obviously the controls. I think Gameloft pioneered these controls in terms of first-person games in general. Obviously, they have the same sort of control method for Nova and the other games that they made. But to my knowledge, Gameloft was that pioneer of where do we put the shoot button, where do you put the aim button, how do we let players customize it. So that was another place that I think Gameloft did a really good job at making sure this game aged very well, because a lot of other games, they would have like dual sticks, which didn't really work out. Some other games had like you couldn't really move around, you could only shoot. So yeah, this game did provide that AAA experience on mobile with, at least for the time, good graphics and audio, and I would argue still today good graphics and audio. And they pioneered the controls, like I said before, and the story was actually like pretty darn good. What was really nice about it was that you played both the protagonist and the antagonist, which was really interesting and unique, especially for a mobile game, to have that depth in it, which was awesome. The voice acting was kind of shoddy sometimes, but overall I think it was really good. And of course, the QuickTime events are there, and they're kind of fun. But yeah, this game will go down as probably one of the best, if not the best, first-person shooter on mobile ever. And I have to agree with that, because simply put, everything about this game was done well. The maps are really good for multiplayer. They look great. Everything sounds really good. The soundtrack is really darn good, if I have an opinion on that. Like, it's just good, there's not much you can say about that. Like I said, everything feels weighty and meaty, and so because you're having this small phone in your hand, it really is important to make things feel heavy and feel impactful, and they do a really good job at that. So yeah, like I said, I think this game is going to go down as one of the best mobile classic games in terms of first-person shooters, and in general bringing that AAA experience over to mobile. And yeah, I'm really glad I was able to get this game running, because it is just such a classic, and of course one of the best mobile games in a lot of people's opinion to ever come out. And yeah, so thank you very much for watching. Please let me know your thoughts on Modern Combat 4 in the comments down below. Wow, I almost said in the description, but that doesn't work. Also, let me know any suggestions for other games you would like to see in this mobile classic series, and I'll see you guys later.
They have branches all over the world, right? Could this be some kind of coup? Could be. They're mercenaries. That means we need to figure out who the client is. Holy fuck! Chopper inbound!